Thank you for coming out. Thank you for taking time away from your busy schedule to hear directly for some of the candidates that are running for the 7th Congressional District. Now, I'm sure you've seen some of these folks on TV or on your mailer or on your text messages, but it's always good to press the flesh and have an opportunity to speak with the candidates directly to hear what their positions are on things that are important to you. So I want to also recognize my colleague from the Water Reclamation District, Marcelino Garcia. He's in the back. And then briefly go over some ground rules. First of all, this is not a debate. This is a forum to allow the candidates the opportunity to talk about their positions. We have some questions that we received from our social media post, so we'll be trying to get through as many questions as possible. But I also want to make sure I leave like 10, 15 minutes for the candidates' ability to mingle, more importantly, with the community. Everyone is in alphabetical order, and we're going to go that way to make it easier for everyone. We did have one addition and then one person who couldn't make it. So on the stage this evening is Jazmin Robinson, and then Melissa Conyers Irvin's team notified us that she will be unable to attend this evening. So those are two people. And my office just received a message from Friedman campaign. They're about 5 minutes out. So this will give us an opportunity to go and start the forum. So I'm Alderman Gilbert Villegas, but my non-paid job is also the Democratic Committeeman. This is an opportunity where we put Democratic candidates or folks that are looking to get endorsed by the Democratic Party. We have them an opportunity to come in front of the community and present their credentials and present their platforms. And then ultimately, the 36th Ward Democratic Organization will make a decision whether to get involved in a race or just to stay neutral and allow the public to decide who it is that will represent us in the Congressional District. Each candidate will have 90-second opening statement. So you have 90 seconds for an opening statement. We have Polly right in front of you who will have a sign for 30 seconds. We would encourage 30 and 15, so we would encourage you to pay attention to her so that way we don't have to cut you off. And then, like I said, we have some questions from the community. And then at the end, candidates will get 90 seconds to make their closing remarks as well. So with that, let's go ahead and get started so that way we can get as many questions in as possible, and then that way allow an opportunity for the residents to have an opportunity to mingle with the candidates. So the first question from the community, and I'm going to phrase it this way because this is how it came to me. Number one is, what differentiates you from the other candidates? I've seen a lot of campaign ads, but hating Trump isn't enough to earn my vote. Mr. Boykin.
Well, thank you very much, Alderman.
Oh, no, strike that. No, I'm sorry. 90-second. First, you do your 90-second introduction. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
I got excited. I'm sorry. You're ready.
Good evening. I'm honored to be here. I'm Attorney Richard Boykin. Thank you, Alderman, for hosting us. Thank you all for coming out. I'm running for Congress because I want to disrupt the status quo. We're finding it very difficult to make it in our country. Look, prices are up for groceries, gas, rents, you name it, health care, and it's a difficult time for all of us. And we got a war that's raging over in Ukraine that I'm very concerned about, that we must settle that war and we must do it with the dignity of the people from Ukraine. We have other issues that I'm running on as well, and that's lowering costs for everybody, creating more jobs, and making sure that every neighborhood is safe. We definitely want to prioritize public safety. The Chicago Police Department is down 1,200 police officers. We can get money from Washington, bring it back, and make sure that we hire additional police for safety, and we can also make sure that we provide money for violence prevention programs. But jobs as well will help us to deal with the gun violence that we see throughout our communities. I'm very excited about this opportunity. I used to be Chief of Staff to Congressman Danny Davis from 1997 to 2006, so I'm familiar with Ukrainian Village and the entire district. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much, Alderman Villegas, for hosting this. I am Kina Colins. I'm a daughter of the West Side of Chicago. I'm a survivor of gun violence. I'm a public policy expert and a nonprofit executive leader. And my experience in being a daughter of this district is that I understand what it means to be in a tale of two cities in the city of Chicago. In the Austin community, we see boarded up businesses, and downtown we see cranes in the sky. In other communities, we see development happening. I'm running because I'm afraid for our democracy. Some of you may have remembered that I challenged Congressman Davis in the previous election cycles because I was concerned about what was happening in the Democratic Party and how the Democratic establishment was running the party. I've been very fortunate to understand what it means to have triumph and tragedy in Illinois 7. When I was a child, I witnessed a young person gunned down in front of me, and that gave me my mission in life. I went on to write the Illinois Council on Women and Girls Act to protect reproductive health care. I have led one of the largest gun violence prevention nonprofits in the state of Illinois, and I've been fortunate to organize in my community. This election comes down to two things in this watershed moment. Do we stand as a district as we currently are? Do we fight for the district that we should be? And the district that we should be is one that supports Medicare for all, eliminating student loan debt, affordable housing, and a strong local economy. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Anthony Driver Jr. I am a lifelong Chicagoan, a fourth-generation resident of the 7th District, and I am a labor leader, a very proud labor leader. I'm currently the executive director of SEIU Illinois, where we represent over 165,000 workers statewide. I'm also a person who has been the president of the CCPSA, or the Community Commission, for the last 4 years, fighting to give residents a voice in public safety. I'm very proud of the things that we've been able to accomplish together. I was the lead organizer on raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, on guaranteeing paid leave for all workers across the city of Chicago, passing the Workers' Rights Amendment. And although I may be a fresh voice, I am not new to this work. I've helped elect pro-worker candidates up and down the ballot. I even moved to Wisconsin for 5 months during the last election cycle to try to keep Trump out of office. And after seeing how the party consistently ignored the needs of its people, that's what spurred me to get into this race. I am also a survivor of gun violence. I'm a person who's lost 22 friends and family members to gun violence, and it is my personal belief that the people who have been closest to the pain should now be closer to the power of this district. Very proud of the coalition that we are building. I've been endorsed, this campaign has been endorsed by over 40 elected officials, the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and 4 other Congress members. We've also been endorsed just today by the Sunrise Movement, by the Sierra Club. I'm building the largest and broadest coalition that this district has ever seen, and I very strongly believe that it's not just about winning, it's about how you win. And this is how we're going to win, together, with your partnership, with not just your endorsement and support, but with your partnership together.
Thank you, Alderman, for hosting this and planning it, your team for doing the work, because you didn't do the work they did. And thank all of you all for being here today. I'm Shawn Ford, and my punch number is 31. I'm #1 on the ballot. I actually was a teacher by profession, and I started my life at Cabrini Green. Then I moved west to the Austin community. So I've always lived in the 7th Congressional District. Also, I became a teacher by profession. I taught for the Chicago Public Schools, and then I opened my own business as a real estate broker. And as a successful business owner, I actually had 4 locations with 65 agents that actually worked for my brokerage. Then I took on the establishment 3 times, but on the 3rd time I won as state representative with my own fighting the establishment. I believe that we need to have someone in office right now for Congress that understands that the #1 issue is to have health care, affordable health care, and the ability to afford medicine. If we don't have our health, what do we have? We have nothing else. Every fight must have health to do it. Jason.
Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening. Thank you, Alderman Villegas. Thank you, 36 Ward Dems. My name is Jason Friedman. It's a pleasure to be with everyone here this evening. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. So when I was a young man, my first passion in life was public service. So perhaps I was a little Pollyannish and naive, but I went to Washington, D.C. for law school because I believed one person could make a difference. I was lucky enough to attend Georgetown Law School, and while I was there, I worked for Senator Durbin on Judiciary Committee, and then in the Clinton White House. But my why of why I'm running for Congress really starts here and is rooted in Chicago, because my story is a Chicago story. I'm 4 generations here in the city. My great-grandfather started as a peddler on Maxwell Street. My grandfather had a hot dog stand not too far from here on the west side. And a lot of people know me and my father as being the early pioneers of the River North submarket. My amazing former CPS teacher wife, who also taught not too far from here in Wicker Park, we raised our 3 great kids here and our 2 crazy dogs. I love Chicago. I love our country. But things are not going the right way, both here and in Washington, D.C. In Washington, D.C., we've got this crazy President Trump and his MAGA Republican cronies who are taking a wrecking ball to our country, our future, and our democracy. And here at home, we have many of them career corrupt politicians who have stopped fighting for us and have failed us. I'm not a career politician. I am here to stand up and fight for you. I am here to fight for a stronger, safer, and more affordable 7th Congressional District for everyone in this district. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Anabel Mendoza. I'm a lifelong Chicagoan, born and raised in this city and raised on the southwest side in a neighborhood called West Lawn. If you've ever flown into Midway Airport, that's the neighborhood that you are in. I am a proud daughter and granddaughter of immigrants. I grew up in a working class, proud Latino family, and that has shaped my entire life. I've seen my parents stretch $9 to feed 3 kids. I saw what it meant for them to be working parents here in Chicago. I went to school not too far from here at Northwestern University and got both my bachelor's and my master's degree in social justice and investigative journalism from Medill. Realized very soon after, when I was freelancing, that I have too strong of opinions to be a journalist, and so I pivoted 180 into the immigrant rights movement, where I've been working ever since. I have been working on the front lines, leading national coalitions to block tens of billions of our taxpayer dollars from going to the very masked militant agents that we see terrorizing families on the streets. I've led coalitions to protect programs like DACA, and I'm running for Congress because we need a politics that we can believe in again. We need people who are going to fight and understand that when we're fighting for things like Medicare for all, none of that is going to be possible if we continue to allow corporate greed to buy our politicians and to represent them. I'm not interested in a politics where our members of Congress are being dictated and the strings are being pulled behind the scenes because corporations, dark money, and outside groups have an outsized influence on their decision making. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. My name is Jazmin Robinson. I'm Mexican-American. My family is from the South Side, 65th and South Sacramento. And I also grew up in Plainfield, Illinois, very conservative, very Republican area. And I'm not a career politician. I'm actually a human resource professional. I've been in the corporate world for over 13 years. And my whole job is building, designing, and managing employee benefits. That's medical, dental, vision, disability, 401k, payroll, compensation, and also helping the employees and employer navigate the complexities of healthcare and government regulations. I don't just do this nationally, I do it globally. So I see how other countries invest in their citizens with their tax dollars, which inspired me to create my signature policy called the HEAL Act. It stands for Universal Free High Quality Healthcare, education that includes childcare, public colleges, and trade schools, access to our government by banning all PACs and paid lobbyists, because the root cause for every issue we have and the reason why we will never receive any reform is because every single Congress representative, the majority of them, both Republicans and Democrats, have been bought by PACs, paid lobbyists, and the ultra-wealthy. So overturning Citizens United is not enough. We need to ban them all and go to publicly funded elections. And also a living wage, but with credits for small businesses so we don't hurt them. And we can pay for this all if we just had a fair tax system like we had under FDR. And if we stop giving these huge tax credits and subsidies to the corporate world. Thank you.
Thank you for first of all, your introductions, but also paying attention to Polly with the timer. We want to make sure. We don't want her coming up there. All right, so we'll get into the questions now, right? I was a little too excited, so you got the first question. So basically, I'll repeat the question. This question is from all these questions are from our constituents. So what differentiates you from the other candidates? I've seen a lot of campaign ads, but hating Trump isn't enough to earn my vote. Mr. Boykin.
Well, thank you very much for the question. Well, I've done the job already. I was Chief of Staff to Congressman Danny Davis for 10 years. In addition to that, I have a real plan to lower costs, create more jobs, and make sure that every neighborhood is safe. I also differentiate myself by saying that we should opt in to the federal tax scholarship program. All of my colleagues say no. It doesn't take one dime from the public schools. Thank you.
You know, I've never been asked that.
We never said no. We weren't asked that.
We don't know what you're talking about.
So I'm Kina Colins once again. I actually agree that saying that you're going to fight Trump is not a strong enough reason to get people back on your side, which is why I'm the only candidate up here who ran against Congressman Davis. When it was not the safe thing to do, it was because I don't believe that leadership is a lifetime appointment, that we do need term limits, and that we deserve healthy primaries. When I started to run against Representative Davis some years ago, he was getting 73% of the Democratic primary vote, regardless of how many candidates were in the race. Congressman Davis is now retiring and barely hovering over the 50%, and that's not a shot at him. That's to say that our campaign did a lot to organize voters in this district to not vote on autopilot when it comes to these deep, dark blue Democratic districts. The final thing I'll say, I thought we got 90 seconds.
45 seconds on the questions, I'm sorry. I should have said
Can I just
that.
add one more because I was confused?
We all thought it was 90.
Okay, all right, here.
Just 10 seconds. The biggest distinguishing factor against me is that AIPAC has stepped into this race to spend $2.8 million. There is a candidate in this race that they have backed. I am the only candidate in this race that AIPAC has spent money to oppose. That is an important distinction. We're going to hear a lot about people saying get big money out of politics. The questions that voters need to ask is why would people spend that much money to keep a particular candidate? I will not be a rubber stamp for this party. I am a movement builder, and I'm going to bring that movement to Congress.
Thank you. And then, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to make it a minute.
Okay.
I owe you 30 seconds on an answer. No, she's good.
No, Richard.
Go ahead, Richard. Give us 30 more seconds, please.
So diplomatic.
I thank the distinguished gentleman. What I was saying is the federal tax scholarship program. They asked the question at the first forum, who would opt in? Everybody said no. I'm the only person who said yes. I said we ought to opt into it because we're going to get $1 billion to help kids in public schools and private schools, and so I'm excited about that. I'm also the only one up here who's taken on the Democratic Party. I'm the guy who got rid of the sugar tax. And I also got rid of the tax on feminine hygiene products for all the ladies. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Richard.
All right, now it's a minute now, okay? Now we're a minute.
I feel like I should start by saying I'm Anthony Driver, and I have no idea what former Commissioner Boykin is talking about. I was never asked that question. But also, I'm a coalition builder, and that's what sets me apart. When you look at the coalition that we've been able to build in this district, it touches every single part of this district. And these folks are not endorsing me simply because they believe that I'm the best candidate. They know it because we've been in the trenches together fighting. So how do you know I will stand up to ICE and CBP? Because I've already stood up to the FOP when they tried to take their police arbitration cases behind closed doors. How do you know I'll fight for environmentalism? Because I've been pushing laws and policies that fight back against extreme temperatures and believing that worker justice is environmental justice. How do you know that I'll fight on behalf of workers? Because I led the fight to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I know what it feels like to take 13,000 nursing home workers out on strike during a once-in-a-generation pandemic when they're literally dying. And you have to take them out on strike and figure out how to socially distance at the same time, knowing that there's a good chance that a lot of them already have COVID because they work in a nursing home. I have a history of fighting on behalf of the working class, and that's what I will do as your congressman.
I think what sets me apart from everyone on the panel is that I've passed 118 bills that make a difference in everyone's life in Illinois. That sets me apart. The other part that sets me apart is I agree that just hating Trump is not enough. We have to have a mission and a vision for America in order to make sure that we protect our democracy. I have a vision for America that I'm going to bring to Washington with me, a vision that adds to what I've done in Springfield, passing 118 bills, protecting health care, protecting justice, making sure that people have a right to re-enter society, making sure that people that have substance use disorder have help, making sure that we help with violence prevention funds, making sure that we hold police accountable, making sure that we do everything that we can to protect our democracy. That's my vision.
Yeah, so as we crisscross the district, what we hear over and over again is that people are craving people. Yes, they want people to stand up and fight Trump. But they also feel very strongly that our career elected officials, many of them have stopped fighting for them and have failed them. And more than anything, whether it's from Chinatown to Oak Park, from River North here to Westtown, they want something, people to do something, to deliver real results. You can both stand up to Trump and deliver real results for the 7th Congressional District. You know, what distinguishes me from my colleagues up here is that they talk about putting cranes in the sky, but they've never done it. They talk about creating jobs, but they haven't done it. I have put cranes in the sky. My family, I'm very proud, over the 50 years of our family business, we've created over 40,000 good-paying union jobs. Those are jobs for people with tickets to the middle class. Those are people that have gotten health care. Those are people that have saved money for retirement. That's what distinguishes me. When I go to Washington, I will be there to fight for you and deliver real results for this community.
Look, I'm not interested in putting cranes in the sky that displace people from their communities. Not all Democrats are the same. We're all running on the Democratic side of the ballot, but we are not all the same. The Democratic Party is facing a national reckoning. We have seen Democrats who are absolutely spineless, who have done the worst for our communities, who actively think that sitting behind the comfort of their own desk or writing a strongly worded letter is enough. What distinguishes me is the urgency that I feel in this moment, not only as the youngest candidate in this race, but as the only candidate that has been on the front lines of the immigrant rights movement, not for a couple of months, not for a year, for several years. I have made my career organizing alongside directly impacted communities on the front lines. I have stood shoulder to shoulder with families that are minutes away from being separated, not just by this administration, because we know ICE and CBP have existed far longer than just Trump. I am here because we need a revival of the Democratic Party. We need to stand 10 toes down on our values and fight for justice on every single issue, from the genocide in Gaza to the militarism on our streets to every issue that matters in the 7th District.
So what distincts me from, I would say, every single person running is that I'm running on actual strategy. People say they're gonna fight for you, people say Medicare for all, they have no strategic plan. I'm not like that. I literally wrote the policy and I cite all my sources, but I know this is a long-term strategy. That's why if you go on my website, JazminRobinson.com, you look at my FAQs, you can see how I'm gonna weaponize every loophole, every House rule, every law to fight back against this government, because we can't pretend that this is a democracy. It's not. It's an oligarchy. It's run by the wealthy, period. So to say here and be like, I'm fighting for you, I have all this passion and stuff, no shade to anyone, but that's just an idea. You need to have strategy. You need to have a strategic mindset to fight back, because we can't do it the normal democratic way, because democracy does not exist here. It doesn't. So that's what distincts me from them. I do strategy, I problem solve, and I cite all my sources so you know I'm not making it up, and I'm asking for your feedback consistently. Thank you.
All right, our next question will be, name 4 initiatives to improve the 7th Congressional District. Name 4 initiatives. 45. This is a minute. A minute, yes. It's going to be a minute moving forward. The final will be 90 seconds.
Here are 4 initiatives to improve the 7th Congressional District. First, we're going to take back our tariff authority as a Congress. Article 1, Section 8 gives Congress the authority to levy taxes, not the president. The second initiative we're going to do is we're going to cut the defense budget by 10%. That gives us $88 billion for health care. How about that? We can have some health care for folks and we can put it into some violence prevention programs. Another thing we're going to do is I just unveiled today my 7th Congressional District Scholars, Community Scholars Program. I'm going to provide 2 scholarships to high school students throughout our district who are graduating, going to college or trade schools to lower the costs. We're going to give them $5,000 each. And the fourth initiative would be we're going to reverse the cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP program, and we're going to shore up Social Security for a 5th one. Thank you.
We came off the heels of watching the State of the Union address of the president. And he stood in the well of the House and joked about a 3rd term. We immediately, on day 1, need to be making sure that we pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and expand the ability for people to actually be able to vote. When me and my team are knocking on the doors, people are concerned that the U.S. Census is not going to be taken properly. Are they going to be able to vote in the midterms or the presidential elections? That should not be a question that we are asking ourselves in 2026. Our second initiative is Congressman Davis is stepping out, and that's a huge shoe that you have to fill. We have to make sure that we solidify in constituent services and improve that on day 1 in the first 100 days to make sure that you're plugged in. Secondly, I want to invest in a green economy in the Illinois 7 and generate jobs, pass the Compete Act, bring back manufacturing here into the Illinois 7, and number 4, reopen the Office of Violence Prevention, because we can't change what we can't measure, and so many people deserve to be able to walk around safely in their communities.
So 4 things that I would prioritize on day 1. Number 1, lead pipe removal. Chicago has over 400,000 lead pipes. That's the most in the nation. Right now, it'll take us until 2042 to remove those. The federal government has to step in and remove those lead pipes. 2, end Citizens United. It's ridiculous that we think that corporations are allowed to act as individuals and buy our politicians and buy our elections. Number 3, supporting Medicare for all. This is a necessity. You cannot have people going to emergency rooms when they should have gone to a primary care physician a long time ago. And number 4, I'm a labor person. I don't want to state this unequivocally, although I am running to be in elected office, politicians will not save us. Politicians will not fix this problem. It will be the working class who fixes this problem. So we have to pass the PRO Act, which makes it easier for people to collectively bargain, easier for people to organize, and not only organize on the job site and have dignity on the job site, but have dignity in the communities that we go home to. That's the 4 initiatives that I will sponsor on day 1 to help turn the 7th Congressional District around.
I think the 4 issues, from talking to people, listening to people, I've heard the threat to health care, the threat to the inability to afford child care, the ability to afford to feed their families, and finally, the other threat and the major threat that I believe that people are angry about is the fact that families can't trust our government. We have to restore trust in government and let people know that we're here to fight for them. And that's why for 19 years, I have always, every day, sent out emails to my constituents, and I will continue to send out emails to our constituents. But I would tell you also, when we walk down the street and we see our brothers and sisters homeless, we all should feel a certain kind of way because we live in America and no one should have to live on the street.
The 4 initiatives that I would address immediately for our 7th Congressional District are as follows. Number 1, public safety should be a right and not a privilege for everyone in the 7th Congressional District. Number 2, your zip code should not determine your future in life by virtue of the education you receive. We need to restore the cuts made to the Department of Education. We need to fully fund around wraparound services. We need to level a playing field that right now is not fair for those in our community. Third, we have an affordability crisis that cuts to the very heart of the American dream. From housing to healthcare to trips to the grocery store, we need to restore the affordability issue for everyone in this district. I know that we're going to likely talk about immigration later, so I'm going to hold that one off, and I'm going to specifically talk also about what we need here in the 7th District. We need to bring dollars back from Washington, D.C. to help our transportation, our infrastructure, and as Driver said, the lead pipe problem we have on the west side of Chicago, that seems to be something that no one talks about.
I would focus on reopening up the schools that have been shut down on the south and west sides, fully refunding and making sure that the Department of Education is fully staffed. We've seen mass layoffs by this administration completely gut agencies. I would also ensure that we're cutting off the funding to ICE and CBP, prosecuting the agents, and making sure that our taxpayer dollars actually make it back into our district, into schools, into healthcare, into jobs, into small businesses. I also support affordable housing. There are so many people who are spending half of their income just on rent, barely able to survive. We need to make sure that we're holding corporate landlords accountable for the price gouging that is happening and displacing people from their communities. And then fourth, we need to prosecute every single person, especially elected officials who have been part of the Epstein files. They should not hold any type of office.
The first thing I would do is move to impeach and remove President Trump and Vice President Vance. Our Constitution says if a president and vice president levy war against the United States, they should be impeached and removed. When they sent in federal troops that killed citizens, that's levying war against the United States. And when Pam Bondi said, hey, give us your voter information and maybe we'll take ICE officials away, that's bribery. That's also an impeachable and removable crime. So that's my first initiative. My second one is focusing on how to get funding back in this district. So there's a lot of loopholes that we can use. One is grants. There are $1 trillion in grants. I would hire a grant director and coordinator to help nonprofits and small nonprofits get grant money so we can fund our schools, we can fund violence prevention agencies, and also there's federal surplus property. So when a government has like empty buildings, we can take that and turn that into affordable housing. These are the loopholes and strategies that I will use to fight back against this administration and bring dollars back into District 7.
Thank you. This is a kind of a two-part question. What would you do to bring the communities in the 7th Congressional District together? And will you commit to hosting, at a minimum, biannual community meetings?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, as a commissioner, I held more town hall meetings than any other Cook County commissioner. And I'm working for Congressman Davis, who is the king of holding town hall meetings. I will follow that pattern and basically commit, one, to having 3 district offices. I'll have 1 downtown, 1 on the west side, 1 on the south side. And I'll utilize a network of task forces to make sure that we get legislation from the people and get it on the floor and get it passed. I'll use technology. I'll use town hall meetings to communicate with the constituents. I'll make sure that I'm in your community and that we're actively engaged in terms of talking to you. If need be, we will also knock on doors. We'll provide information. We'll bring resources back from Washington and make those resources available to the folks in the community. I'm very excited about this opportunity. I look forward to connecting with this community. Thank you.
So I think that the way that, and you know, we've said this since I've run against Representative Davis, that the way that you run your campaign is going to be how you run your congressional office. And we should be improving our constituent services by coming to y'all before we need your vote. And I think that the big breakdown that's happening in the Democratic Party right now is that constituents are not being listened to. And then you only see your elected official when it's election time. And that's where we see a decrease and a down spiral of voter turnout. And we see a lot of people just upset with their elected officials. And so, yes, I would commit to hosting monthly town halls in our district from every corner of the district, making it culturally competent with translators, and from the west side to the south side across the district. But I do think that we need to do deep canvassing and create a co-governance model where we're listening to the constituents to form what legislation that we want to push forth in Congress.
So as a city leader and a person who's been the president of a commission for the last 4 years, this is something that I have a history of doing. When I first took over as president, we were given the option to have our meetings at City Hall, and I refused to do that. And I asked them for a line item specifically so that we could have meetings at community colleges and high schools, because we have to go out and reach people. Only about 30% of this district votes. That's not an indictment on the people, that's an indictment on the people in power. We have to go out and get folks. We need to move around the district, commit to having 3 district offices, making sure that you are accessible, making sure that we bring the 7th district into the digital age. We should be sending text polls to our residents. You know, we launched a canvas last Saturday that had over 110 people knocking on doors, and we're asking for support, trying to earn people's support. The most important date in this election is not March 17th, it's March 18th. The day after the election, we should have that same vigor, that same hundreds of volunteers out knocking doors. Instead of asking for your vote, we should be asking, how can I serve you? What do you need from me? How can we help one another?
I think that I've proven that I understand how to have a strong constituent service office. I could tell you in my 19 years, I've had an average of 3 town hall meetings a year. I could tell you that I take the issues to the people and to the press to make sure that people know what's happening. I could tell you that I know how to use the universities to engage our young people in our government. And we will continue to use the wealth of this district to bring people together. We will use all levels of government to partner with the aldermen. This district has many aldermen, many commissioners, and we will collaborate with not just the elected officials, but the community-based organizations and the churches, and we will unite this district and make sure that voices are heard every day.
You know, this constituent service needs to be one that's open, accessible, and accountable. And that's what we'll do when we're the next congressman here. We will have obviously open brand new constituent service offices, which will be open to the public. Because at the end of the day, this is a job about one thing. It's about public servitude. And I'll tell you this, in my business, if you walk around our buildings in River North, you'll see my name. It says Friedman Properties. It has our phone number there. I would tell our tenants, our lenders, our tradesmen, anyone that would walk by, I said, if you ever have a problem, my name is right there, my phone number is there, pick up the phone, give me a call, I'll be here for you. It's the same way I'll be as your congressman. Of course, I will have, Alderman Villegas will have open and accessible town hall meetings, because here's the deal, where constituent service, where it goes from good to great, is when levels of government work well with one another and collaborate with one another. When your congressman knows their local alderman and their committeeman and can speak freely with them and knows their police commander, so that everyone there is working on board together, rowing in the same direction on your behalf.
One of the things about building unity is also about building trust. It's about understanding that we may live in different neighborhoods, but we do have a shared humanity. This is an extremely diverse district, whether you live in Englewood, Chinatown, Back of the Yards, Austin, Oak Park, Ukrainian Village. It's not enough to just host town halls. We have to be in dialogue with one another. We have to learn from each other's lived experiences and backgrounds, be willing to get outside of our bubbles and understand realities that aren't our own. I'm someone who is running for office to build those bridges between our communities, because I've done that in the immigrant rights movement. I've done that making sure that we are building multiracial, multi-generational coalitions that bring young, old, black, white, brown, doesn't matter, all together, because we need to be able to understand that our futures are shared, and we have to fight together. We have to understand that the solutions we're fighting for are going to be of a benefit to every single person in this district. Thank you.
So some of the things that I would work on to build community is leveraging those grants, right? We can build community centers. The reason that people have prejudice is because they're not interacting with each other. Intergroup contact theory proves that when you start being in the same space as each other, your biases and your prejudice go down. So we need to create those shared spaces. Not only would I use grant money, but Congress representatives get community funding projects. They can bring in $20 million a year to support our district. So that I would focus on that as well. But yes, having 3 offices, one on the west side, the Loop, and the south side, but also a mobile office so that I can be wherever you are. You shouldn't have to take a train and a bus to get to me. I can come to you. And then the other piece is educating myself and also my constituents on the benefits that y'all have. We have so many benefits that we are not being taught about because Congress representatives are spending 5 hours a day calling their donors instead of doing their job. The other thing is a feedback button. On my website, at the FAQ section of my website, I have a feedback button. That is specifically to hear from you. If there's something I'm not addressing in the FAQ, if there's something that you want more clarity and context on, let me know, because that's HR, that's change management. You build great policy by listening to everybody and hearing their feedback, and then also looking at data. Data can be biased too, but looking at that data so you can invest in the right, most return on investments for your community. Thank you.
So we've heard and we've seen a lot of issues around immigration. And so temporary protective statuses, we've seen ICE invading communities. And it's tough to see that, especially when you have Republicans that have the House, the Senate, as well as the President, and they have not come up with a solution how to deal with immigration reform. We need to get and solve immigration reform as soon as possible. This whole notion of 11 million people leaving the United States, going somewhere that they may not even be from, is cruel and unrealistic. The reality is it's time to get immigration reform done in Congress. I hope that the next, in 26 or 28, we finally solve the issue around immigration. Sorry about that. It pisses me off about this whole thing. That being said, what is your solution to find an immigration solution for many of our residents who have worked here for decades without criminal records, understanding that to achieve this, you must work across the aisle?
Thank you for the question. Look, it really goes to how we treat our neighbors. The reality of it is we need comprehensive immigration reform, and we needed it yesterday. I would abolish ICE in its current form. I think it is abusing our citizens, terrorizing our neighbors, and killing some of our neighbors, and that is wrong. The other thing I would do is make sure that we provide a path to citizenship for all of those who are undocumented. You're paying taxes, many of the folks, they're working, they're significant parts of our economy. We have to make sure that we welcome them into the economy and bring them out of the shadows. It's all about dignity. And yes, I am willing to reach across the aisle. In fact, the Chicago Tribune said about me that the thing that they admire the most is that I'm a free thinker and I'm somebody who's willing to reach across the aisle to get things done. And I will get this done when I'm the congressman. Thank you.
I was very proud to call for the abolition of ICE all the way back in 2020 as one of my earliest campaign promises, because we knew that they are a racist police tactical unit that has zero oversight. And right now, ICE is actually the 5th most well-funded militia in the globe. That is money that is not going towards your schools, your health care, your housing. It is going to a renegade group of people who are running through the streets untrained and killing people. I think that this immigration conversation has also exposed the hypocrisy of people in power. Donald Trump has called the immigrant community rapists and criminals. Donald Trump needs to look in the mirror, because he's talking about himself. And so I think that this is about a moment of solidarity. We do need a pathway to citizenship, not just for DACA recipients and those who have work visas, but for the entire 11 million. And so that is my commitment to this district, and I would work across the aisle for humanitarian efforts to happen towards that.
So I'd like to start off by saying that I absolutely support abolishing ICE. And I don't qualify that with silly slogans like Trump's ICE, this version of ICE. I'm just saying we need to abolish ICE. And we need to go a lot further than that. We have to rebuild the social contract. Those officers, I don't even like calling them that, those terrorists need to be prosecuted. Kristi Noem needs to be prosecuted. Gregory Bovino needs to be prosecuted. We should be impeaching them now. There's 14 Democrats in the state of Illinois who are in Congress, and all of them are not calling for the same thing.
Okay.
I also say I'm born and raised in Back of the Yards. That's a predominantly black and mostly Mexican community. I understand this issue very deeply. I don't only support a pathway to citizenship, I support an expedited pathway to citizenship. This has taken too long. We have to move with urgency. And I don't fight people, I fight issues. So any single person, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, or otherwise, who is willing to stand with me on this issue, I will work with them to make that happen.
You know, I taught social studies for 6 years, and what I taught was that America is the great melting pot. Our diversity is our strength. And I believe that we need to make sure that we have comprehensive immigration reform. What we've done in America is put people at risk because we play politics with people's lives. I was at a school yesterday, and a fourth grader told me, when you win Congress, will you abolish ICE? Will you protect my father, because ICE picked my father up and I want my father back. That's because of derelict of duties by Congress. And I tell you, I'm committed to making sure that we build coalitions to fix the immigration problem and give people a pathway to citizenship and protect humanity and dignity in this country. It's easier said than done, but we could do it with collaboration.
Immigration policy and enforcement should be led with empathy, kindness, and opportunity. That's the exact opposite of what we're seeing right now with what ICE is doing. We're seeing cruel political theater playing out in front of our eyes. These ICE agents are literally brutalizing our neighbors. It's outrageous and it's un-American. ICE must be abolished. Not one, as your next congressman, I vow to not one penny until there is accountability and justice being done for what these people are doing to members of our community. It's outrageous. I'll tell you what, we've created the 15th largest standing army in the world. It's like all of a sudden we deputize the Proud Boys and put masks on them and give them assault rifles. This is not America. This is not who we aspire to be. We're a nation of immigrants. My story, like many of our stories here, is an immigrant story. It's the future of our country. We did have a common sense immigration policy on the table in the Biden administration, and Donald Trump stopped it even before he became president. I will vow as your congressman to bring that back, to work with my colleagues.
So, I absolutely support abolishing ICE, but I have to go further than that. It's not just ICE. CBP is the other side of the coin. We know that these agencies were created in the wake of 9/11 to surveil Black and brown communities. We cannot talk about ICE and CBP without also talking about the private surveillance companies that profit off of surveilling Black and brown communities. So part of what we need to talk about as well is not just building a pathway to citizenship, but pathways to citizenship, multiple pathways that also ensure guaranteed legal representation. In the work that I do, I have been with children who have had to go as young as 4 years old in front of judges and defend themselves. We need multilingual services, we need legal representation that is guaranteed in this country, we need pathways to citizenship, and we also need to tighten our legislation to ensure that no thing like the Muslim ban can ever happen again, because we know that targets predominantly those from Black and brown countries. So that is something that we absolutely have to make sure that is cut off. So that's what I would do. Thank you.
I've already said this earlier, but we need to impeach Trump and Vance and prosecute his entire cabinet, along with every single ICE agent who has violated the violated our Constitution, and they should be banned from ever doing any type of law enforcement ever again. The other thing is, the reason we have all of this, and it goes back to the corruption and the money. The prison industrial complex profits from having incarcerated individuals to force them to do basically slave labor, which companies then profit off of because they get prison contracts. It all comes back to the money. And the reason why we have this is because our Congress has been bought. Yes, I will work across the aisle. In fact, multiple Republicans signed my petition sheets to get on the ballot because of the HEAT Act. Because they saw when I said we need to ban PACs and lobbyists, move to publicly funded elections, they were like, yeah, let's do that. That makes sense. When Trump ran in 2016, that's what he ran on. He ran on banning super PACs. He ran on railing in this campaign finance reform. This is what 72% of Americans want.
All right. So we're gonna have 2 more questions of yes or no, and then we're gonna get the 90 seconds. I know some of you have to leave, but we want to do this right quick. Just by show of hands, all right? These are questions from the audience. Obviously, we're in the Ukrainian village. Just 4 years of a conflict. Will you fight to protect funding for Ukraine? All right. Next question. Yes or no, or just by show of hands. Have you or will you in the future receive any donations from PACs? PACs are political action committees. Have you or will you in the future receive any donations from PACs?
Labor included?
Yeah, that's a PAC. A political action committee is a PAC.
I'm going to say yes.
I'm not taking from PAC.
Hey, listen, the question is, will you receive it? Yes or no? I mean, it is what it is.
That's not corporate PACs.
Okay, cool.
Any PACs.
All right, so you've seen a question there that was provided by the audience. They did not differentiate between corporate labor. They just said PACs. So we'll go from there. 90 seconds to close. And then I know, Ms. Collins, you have to leave. So as soon as you're done, you can exit. The rest, as we're done here, once we're done with the 90 seconds, please feel free to mingle with the voters that are here in the room. Mr. Boykin.
Thank you very much, Alderman Villegas. Thank you all for coming tonight. I'm Attorney Richard Boykin, and I want to disrupt the status quo. I'm running because I want to reverse the cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and the SNAP program. I want to pass the Affordable Care Act subsidies so we can bring down the price of premiums. I want to make sure that we have affordable housing for everyone in our city and throughout our district. I want to make sure that we deal with the mental health crisis that we have in our country. I want to make sure that we bring public safety resources from Washington to this district. I want to have the best constituent services known to mankind so that we can provide those services for each and every one of you. I'm very excited about this opportunity. I've already done the job. Look, we have a lot of problems. Our problems are decades old. Send me to Washington so I can fix the problems. I want to do it, and I promise you I will. Just as I got rid of the sugar tax and fought those folks at the county, it wasn't just soda pop, it was Gatorade, apple juice, orange juice, all of that. Got rid of the tax on feminine hygiene products, banned law enforcement from choking people when they arrest them, provided an office for Inspector General where we could deal with nothing but sexual harassment complaints. I'm Richard Boykin. Now is the time to punch 39. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'm Kina Colins, and once again, thank you for hosting this in the 36th Ward. I am a disruptor in the space, and this is not just a call that I just woke up and decided. My political organization we knew that Congressman Davis was coming towards the end of his political career, and the investment that I've made in these last few primaries is to get in front of voters and answer the tough questions that need to be answered. I was proud to stand on the front lines fighting for years to end state-sanctioned violence for Laquan McDonald and Rekia Boyd, fighting to protect reproductive health care under the Illinois Council on Women and Girls Act, which I passed, fighting to organize doctors across this country, where I was a national organizer, organizing 20,000 doctors and medical students across the country to fight for single-payer universal health care. We are in a watershed moment, and I'm running because our democracy is on thin ice. We have lost the House, lost the Senate, lost the White House, and 26 out of the 50 state legislatures across the country are GOP-led. We have a lot of elected officials who are in this race and folks who have the ideas, but the people who got us in this mess will not be the ones to get us out. Y'all have the choice to vote differently than we've ever voted before in this district. And that is the option that voters have. I'm so proud and honored to be running for Illinois 7. It's one of the greatest seats, and it is the greatest seat in the delegation. My name is Kina Colins, and my punch number is 41. Thank you.
I want to first start off by thanking you all for coming to hear us out. Thank you, Alderman and Committeeman Gil Villegas. I'm Anthony Driver Jr. My leadership did not begin behind a podium. My leadership began on a picket line, fighting on behalf of workers, leading and building coalitions, fighting against police brutality, making sure that all police misconduct files are public, abolishing a gang database that had over 130,000 people on it, 90% of them black and brown men, with 10 people over the age of 116 years old, and the youngest person being 7. That's the type of leadership that I will provide to the 7th District. I really appreciated the question about you gotta do more than just hate Trump. I want to be clear that I'm in this race to fight and beat Trump, but this is not just about resistance. This is about repair, it's about renewal, and it's about restoration. This is about justice. Donald Trump and MAGA are not the North Star of this campaign. They're in the way of justice, so we got to go through them to get to justice. And that is what we're focused on, building a coalition that includes every single person in this room, that includes people from throughout the district, elected officials, faith leaders, labor unions. I'm very proud to be supported by the people who are keeping this district going, electricians, carpenters, SEIU members who take care of our most vulnerable. We can win in a different way and build a coalition that includes all of us. I'm Anthony Driver Jr., and I hope to earn your support on or before March 17. Press 38.
It's been great running for Congress. It's an honor of the lifetime to be able to run for Congress in America. America has been good to me, and I could tell you that I have a vision for running for Congress, a vision with a mission to make sure that life is affordable for everyone, to fight to make sure that we protect and expand Social Security benefits, to make sure that young people are engaged in the process of government, because it's the young people that we need to be involved in this process. And I believe if we get them involved, life will be better for all of us. When you look at the problems that we have, I have developed relationships at the city, state, county, and federal level with unions and with community-based organizations. Those relationships will go with me to Washington. We will deliver and fight for resources to come back to Illinois for our state budget, to come back to the city of Chicago for the city budget, to come to the county for the county budget. That's what we need. We need someone ready on day one, and no one on this panel has that type of relationship to do it but me, Punch 31.
Thank you, Alderman Villegas. Thank you, 36th Ward. Debs, I'm looking forward to meeting everyone here this evening as well. So, the 7th Congressional District is the economic engine of our city and state. I believe it's the most important congressional district in the state of Illinois. It also is some of the most underinvested areas of our city and state. We are not going to succeed here unless we're all in this together. And so, like a lot of you, I've been waiting for some of our career politicians to step up and fight for us. But unfortunately, they've failed. They've become corrupt. I'm not a career politician. Let me tell you who I am. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a business owner, I'm a philanthropist, and I'm a community leader. I know how to get things done where others do not. And as I said before, and I will say again because this is my North Star, I am here running for Congress because I am here to build a safer, stronger, and more affordable congressional district for everyone in this district, from working families to small business owners, from people living in Oak Park to people living in Chinatown, River North, Ukrainian Village. We're all in this together. So I'll tell you this, I'm a little older than I was when I first went to Washington, D.C. I certainly have a lot less hair. But let me tell you, I still believe that one person can go to Washington, D.C. and make a difference. I'm ready to go back. I'm ready to fight for you. I am here to work my tail off to earn your vote and your support. Between now and March 17th, I will not let you down. My name is Jazmin Friedman, punch number 34, just like Walter Payton's sweetness.
Thank you, everybody, for the really thoughtful questions. It's an honor to be here. My name is Anabel Mendoza. When I was little, about 5 or 6 years old, my mom got into this habit of making breakfast for dinner. And as a kid, I loved breakfast for dinner. She would make pancakes for dinner. I always wondered why she was doing that. But the reason why was because those were the nights when my parents literally had $9, $7, $5 left. And they had to stretch it for a week before the next paycheck would come in. We had pancakes for dinner because that's all the food we had left in the cabinet. My parents are some of the hardest working people I know, and I've never understood why we still are being told to get by with less and less as the top 1 in 10% of this country hoards wealth. We need people who are going to fight for us in Congress, not because they try to understand the issues from the outside, but because they've lived them, because they know the stakes, because they know the consequences. I've said it before, not all Democrats are the same. You need to be informed voters like I know that you are, because there are people on this ballot who take corporate PAC, 8-PAC, dark money. There are. I'm not one of them. I'm also not a Democrat who will conveniently change my positions in order to secure endorsements. I will stand on my own 2 feet and be led with values at the forefront, always with values. Because you all deserve a fighter in Congress, not someone who's wishy-washy, not someone who can be easily bought, not someone who's gonna bend the knee when your lives and your livelihoods matter the most. I will fight like hell to make sure your lives are improved. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I really appreciate it. I love this civic engagement, and the reason I am running is because I'm so done and over this government that's killing our people. They're killing us by just taking every resource possible away. And I am only taking individual donations. I will never take PAC money. I will never take lobbyist money, because that is the root cause of why we are in this situation in the first place, period. We need to move to publicly funded elections. And I will say this, I've been saying this from the beginning, and I've noticed a lot of candidates start to take my talking points. And this is what I have to say. If you're gonna start taking my talking points, maybe just drop out of the race and vote for me, because I'm actually bringing strategy here. That's what we need. We cannot go to a system and play by their rules when they themselves are not playing by the rules. We need to be a cutthroat strategist. I'm not only educating myself on how to fight back at this administration using loopholes and leveraging our laws, but I'm teaching constituents as well. This is how you fight back to save your SNAP benefits. This is how you fight back to get free or affordable health care, because that's how you build a coalition, through education and telling them how to fight back and telling them what the problem is. The reason why this government keeps attacking minorities, whether it's Mexican Americans, blacks, or whether it is the immigration, it is because they don't want us to fight them. They are the ultimate minority. They are the 1%. They are the corruption that is killing us every single time. They'd rather us fight against each other than for us to take them down. There is more of us than it is of them. We can do this, but we as voters need to stop voting for people who tell you, I'm gonna fight for you and I have passion. No, we need a strategic mindset that's gonna tackle this and give you a plan. You can check out my plan on my website and give me your feedback, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you, candidates, for all coming out. I really appreciate it. Community appreciates it. March 17th is the election. Early voting has started. March 2nd it starts. You have no excuse not to vote. Please participate in the democratic process. Thank you all for coming this evening. There's some water and some some snacks over there. I was told if you call a meeting at 6 o'clock, you better have some water and snacks. Back there is the water and snacks. Thank you again. Please get out and vote. Thank you.